Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a framework from the book, But You Can Succeed. It lays out a really specific, faith-based, four-step guide for fathers who might feel like they've fallen short and are looking for a clear way to make a change.
So, where does the book start? Well, it taps right into a feeling it suggests is pretty common, that sense of failure. You know, that nagging thought that maybe you haven't quite been the father you hope to be, or the one your family really needs.
But here's the thing, it's not about getting bogged down by past mistakes. Instead, the book presents a very clear four-step path forward. It's designed to be an actionable guide for any father who's truly ready to commit to a fresh start.
All right, so let's jump right into step one. It all kicks off with a conscious, deliberate decision to willingly step up and accept the responsibility and the authority that the book defines as being the head of the family.
And to really make that decision stick, the author suggests a prayer like this. See, it's not just a passing thought. It's meant to be an intentional act of the will, a specific moment where a father formally accepts this role and commits to the whole task.
Now, this next part is pretty crucial for understanding the whole framework. The book gives a very specific definition for authority. It's not something you just create for yourself. It's framed as power that is delegated. It's handed down from a higher source.
To make this idea really click, the text pulls out a great example from the New Testament, a Roman centurion. And this military officer, well, he understood authority in a way that just perfectly illustrates the book's point. And this is just a perfect illustration of that core idea, right? The centurion basically says, look, I can command my soldiers and they listen, but only because I myself am submitted to the authority of my superiors in the army. His authority was given to him.
So then, the book takes that same exact principle and maps it directly onto the family structure. It outlines what it calls a chain of authority. And in this model, the authority flows from God the Father, through Christ, down to the husband, and then to the wife.
Okay, on to step two. So you've made the decision, now what? Well, this part is all about getting the resources to actually fulfill that new responsibility. And the key idea here isn't about trying harder on your own, but trusting a divine source for the help you're going to need. According to the text, this help shows up as two gifts you can't earn, mercy and grace. Think of it this way. Mercy is for your past. It's forgiveness that covers all the mistakes. Grace, on the other hand, is for your future. It's described as the power that enables you to do what you need to do.
To really paint a picture of what this mercy looks like, the author pulls out this really powerful image from the Old Testament prophet Micah. The idea here is that your past failures aren't just ignored. They are totally removed, thrown away into a place that can never be brought back from.
The author then adds this great little line from Corrie ten Boom. And the point is pretty clear, right? If your past mistakes have been forgiven and forgotten, then you shouldn't be the one going back and dredging them up. It's about really, truly letting go of that guilt.
Okay, step three. This is where we make a shift from that internal mindset to some very practical external action. The book basically frames fatherhood like a job that has a specific description. And, well, you need to study it to understand it.
And that job description? It's broken down into three distinct roles: priest, prophet, and king. So, what does that mean? Well, being a priest is about leading the family spiritually. Being a prophet is about teaching and guiding. And being a king is about protecting and providing. The book advises fathers to actually study the biblical basis for these roles to really get it. And that brings us to the final step, step 4. And this one deals with what might be the most valuable resource any of us have, our time. The book argues for a pretty radical shift in how a father thinks about his time.
Here, the author draws this really sharp contrast between two ideas. You've got quality time, that modern concept of scheduling these small, focused, intense blocks of time, and then you have availability, and that's less about a specific activity and more about just being there.
The author makes this point super personal, reflecting that what a kid truly craves isn't some perfectly planned out adventure. It's that deep, foundational security of knowing that their parent is just there for them whenever they're needing.
So there you have it. That's the four-step plan from the book, all laid out. You start with a willing decision, you trust in a higher power for help, you actually learn your responsibilities, and finally, you commit your time by prioritizing simple availability. And in the end, the book leaves fathers with a final, really challenging question. It's not about performance or being perfect. It's about the environment, the atmosphere you create. The question to reflect on is this:
Is the atmosphere in my home one of acceptance and security,